Hey guys, we have an interesting week full of planetary transits and yet another transformative week full of planetary transits. July has just been that month where everything has just been very transformative. Everything got clustered all into one in terms of ingresses and retrogrades and things like that, and this week is no different. We have a new moon that's occurring in Leo, which I will be making a separate podcast for, as I always do, but this new moon should help us get in touch with our regal side and to learn how to stop fading into the background. Jupiter is going retrograde this week, which should help us take a look back on what type of quest we're trying to start in our life and understand how to aim our arrow at better opportunities for ourselves. And we have a little bit of a shift. This week, the majority of the alignments will be made by Mercury. For the last 3 weeks, the mix has been Mercury and Venus, but now we're just getting Mercury. So our focus is going to go on our communication, our internal dialogue, not glossing over the details, honesty, and how we absorb data. The vibes on the graph are definitely reflecting another edgy week. This is definitely another edgy week. July has been an edgy month. August is going to be an edgy month as well. We are definitely hitting some interesting and dynamic astrology for the rest of the year, so things will be a little more revved up than normal on certain occasions. It doesn't mean that we won't have our happy moments, because we'll have tons and tons of those, but this has definitely been the theme, and we'll have our sweet spots when they come. But emotionally, this may be a week where you're up and down. Emotionally, this may be a week where you're more triggery. You may feel more sensitive to feedback from others, and just really being in your head through this week, especially with the low amount of mental energy. The beginning of the week, there's a little bit of good luck, there's a little bit of social energy, but some of that tapers off as we get through this week, and by the time we get to the 29th, there's some solitude energy that's popping up, so it's really going to drive that point home of really wanting some time to yourself. And of course, that solitude energy does peak back up over the weekend. It's not as high as it is on the 29th. It's definitely lasting from the 30th to the 31st. Mixed in with that is a smidge of social energy, a little bit of romantic energy, and some good luck energy. The good luck energy is so welcome. That is coming from the Sun and Jupiter, so we will welcome that lovely energy that's coming at the end of the week. So this is definitely a colorful week for sure. Let's look at the next bunch of days and see what we can expect. As a reminder, don't forget to like and subscribe because it helps this channel grow. And if you'd like to support the work of this channel, you could do so by buying me a fresh cup of coffee. There's a link in the description box below. Even though Chiron is in retrograde, at least it's making a lovely aspect to Mercury. Mercury's going to make a trine to Chiron. And we could use this because this energy in itself is very healing. One of the great things is it helps us heal what's going on in our mind. So if we've had some harsh inner dialogue, this is going to be great for clearing our mind and seeing things for what they really are, our confidence back up, and coming up with solutions to the problems that we've had. So if you had something that was unsolvable, that was keeping you down, this could be one of those times where you find a creative way to work through that problem, which is going to result in having a huge sigh of relief. This is a great day for doing healing work, doing things like sound baths, Reiki healings, especially working with your crown chakra, your third eye, and even the ear chakras, because there are chakras on the ears. And so if your internal dialogue or something you've heard or critiques have been getting you down, it's really good to work with the ear chakras to purge out that sort of vibe. And this is also great for diffusing drama. So again, if there's been any drama that's been building up, this is going to be great for working through that. But this is lovely energy for feeling good about yourself again, so let's soak this one up. On the 28th, Jupiter goes retrograde. Jupiter went into pre-shadow on May 4th of 2022 at the last few degrees of Pisces, because at that point in time, Jupiter was still in Pisces. Jupiter went into Aries the next week on the 10th, so we're going to have a Jupiter retrograde with 2 different themes to it, Pisces being the shorter end of that, which will be the last 2 degrees of that sign, but also we will have the Aries portion of it, so we'll be experiencing more of that portion throughout the retrograde period. Out of the retrogrades, Jupiter retrogrades are the mildest in comparison. It's not to say that things can't happen that are stressful, because, retrogrades have us go back and it slows things down. So that could be stressful in itself. Jupiter is an expander as well, so it can expand and inflate certain things that are very uncomfortable. But for the most part, Jupiter is probably one of the retrogrades where it's just kind of like milder in the sense to the ones that are more crotchety. With Jupiter retrogrades, we find ourselves on a quest. And a lot of the times it's a quest for the truth. It's a quest for knowledge or seeing a different perspective. It helps us look at what's fair and what's not fair, reassess our philosophies, and work through injustices. Jupiter retrogrades can be felt collectively and individually, and if Jupiter retrograde has been going over your natal placement since it's been in shadow, This could have been a time when you felt that you needed to take a step back when it comes down to education. So if you were looking to enroll in a program or some sort of scholarship or some sort of overseas student program, because with Jupiter we deal with travel and we deal with overseas, we deal with long distance travel. So this could have been a time where that might have been either on hold, or you're trying to reassess if that's something that you want to do, or which program may be a good fit for you. Speaking of travel, this could have been a time where you're looking to do that in your life, but you're not necessarily sure exactly how you're going to go about it. There could have been delays when it comes down to travel. There could have been delays with whatever plans you were trying to make, and now you're having to sit back and reassess what you're doing. Sometimes that travel can look like moving cross country or moving to another country. So if this has been a big move that you've been trying to plan and now you're having to work out some detail, even though you had the vision for this could be a time where you're gathering your resources and making sure you have everything you need, making sure you have something stable, because with Jupiter it is about taking a chance and shooting your shot. But at the same time, with the retrograde, it can cause us to really look at it seriously and make sure it's something that's going to be stable for us. Because with these retrogrades, these planets tend to do a little bit of the opposite of what they normally do. But speaking of Jupiterian things, this could also have you assessing where you're not allowing yourself to take opportunities, where you've been restrictive with opportunities, where you're not aiming your arrow at so many different possibilities that you could be taking for yourself. Jupiter energy is all about shooting your shot and achieving something just because you showed up. So if you haven't been showing up in that way, if you haven't been going for those opportunities, this could be a time where you're building yourself up, you're building your confidence up to go for it. This could also be a time where you're seeking out help from others. Jupiter has a lot to do with coaches and gurus and things like that. I mean, it could be a self-taught sort of thing. You could be going for a certification of some sorts to become that, to become a coach of some sorts, no matter what modality or genre or niche it's in. But this could also be you receiving coaching from someone. This could also be you building yourself up and breaking through your limitations with the help of someone else, so that way you can expand your horizons. We do work on our sense of entitlement when Jupiter is in retrograde. Jupiter does have a lot to do with entitlement and feeling that we deserve certain things, being arrogant, not realizing the world doesn't revolve around you. And so this could be an issue where you're working on that. You're working not to be that person. You're working on being more selfless. We could also be working on issues with greed. We could also be working on issues with excess, because Jupiter is an expander, and so sometimes it has a lot to do with the excess of things that we do. Bringing this back to gurus as well too, this could also be a time where you're understanding certain things you might be following, teachings, or people may not be necessarily what they're cracked up to be, so it can expose that sort of thing. So this could be a time where you're stepping away from people who are not what they seem, but they're presenting themselves as being this all-knowing being of wisdom, and it's becoming clear that it might not be what it's cracked up to be. It might be complete horseshit, and you're basically stepping away from that. And it doesn't have to be an individual. It could just be something, certain teachings or certain things that you've been reading that may not necessarily be what you thought it was. At one time or another, you thought it was something that you could place your belief in, and it's not something that you want to continue to do that with. And of course, with belief, Jupiter, we do work on our belief systems with this. We work on where we've lost our belief. We learn how to gain better beliefs or beliefs that benefit us. And also with these beliefs, we work on our opinionated nature. If it's been working against us, being opinionated, being dogmatic, this could be a time where we're resolving that and trying to be more open to other people's point of views, even if we don't believe in it ourselves. Jupiter goes direct on November 23rd of 2022 and will be out of its post shadow on February 14th of 2023. So we have about 4.5 months of reassessing how we're expanding our life. And the main signs that will be feeling this retrograde the most are placements within the cardinal signs, between 1 to 9 degrees of Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. Also the mutable signs. If you're born at the end of the mutable signs, like Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, the last 2 degrees of the sign. So if you're born from the 28th degree to the 29th, possibly the 27th, or even 26th, since it's close enough, but mainly the ones who are going to be feeling those will be within that range. But either way, use this time to scale your life in a Jupiterian way. That same day, Mercury's making a square with Uranus. So not only is Mercury making a square with Uranus, we're getting aspect patterns right now at this point in time. This is because the cluster of planets we had at the beginning of the year and just going over the last 6 months are finally starting to spread out. Mercury and Venus are finally coming to the other side of the zodiac along with the sun. So we're about to hit some aspect patterns, and currently we have a grand fixed cross forming from Mercury, Saturn, Mars, Uranus, and the nodal axis. Mars happens to be in Taurus. Uranus in the North Node happened to be in Taurus. Saturn is in Aquarius, of course. Mercury is in Leo. And the South Node is in Scorpio. So this is forming a fixed pattern. We've had that T-square going on for quite some time with the South Node and Saturn. And now that these other planets are here, they're starting to fill some spots. And Mercury happens to be filling that empty leg of the T-square and turning it into a grand cross. It's a highly intense aspect pattern where we're having to look at various different ways. We could be at a tug of war with various different things in our lives. There could be issues due to being stubborn, due to having too much pride. There could be issues due to being so intense and extreme, it's creating drama for us. And there could be areas where we're rigid, where we're too cold, where we've completely disassociated from a situation and have detached ourselves or even isolated ourselves. And all of these things are building up. All of these things have been festering, and this can come out in an explosive manner with this aspect pattern. This is a build-up sort of energy, so some of that's been building up for quite some time can finally release itself. We can see a lot of this on a collective level with an aspect pattern like this. With Scorpio being the South Node, we can see an abuse of power that blows up in someone's face or some sort of exposure of something that's been hidden for quite some time. So this could be a day where we're learning truths about ourselves, working through our issues with controlling people, some power struggles and things like that. Also resolving issues where we've rested on our laurels or have been reckless and overly confident about something because of pure arrogance. So this is a very heavy energy. And of course with the Mercury-Uranus square, this all ties in. Communication can definitely be harsh on this day. Communication can come unexpectedly. People can unexpectedly blurt out the wrong things. It can feel like a day where there's somewhat of a plot twist on certain things. We can feel hyper and anxious. And we have to be really careful not to be reckless with our mouth because, again, this is one of those energies where things get blurted out. So this could result in that. And with the nature of Mercury and Uranus, something that's been brewing for a while could suddenly be expressed. And with all this, it's going to be very hard to focus. It's going to be very hard to quiet your mind. It could definitely feel like mental burnout. So do the best you can when this energy hits because it's pretty intense. On the 29th, Mars is making a semisextile to Chiron. So with this alignment, this is one of those things where our communication skills and our temperament are not necessarily working in our favor. We are definitely needing to check our aggression. With all the stuff going on with Uranus, definitely check your aggression because, this Mars is participating in that T-square, and then with it connecting to Chiron in the semisextile, it can definitely be something that can come off explosive. So this could be a day of working through anger issues. On the flip side of this could be a day where we're having to work on passive-aggressive behavior. Doing things in a petty manner because we don't want to speak up, but we do low-key punishments with people. Some of this is coming from bottled-up feelings and resentfulness, and so, it kind of gives people their right for doing some retaliation or tit for tat, but doing it in a very passive-aggressive manner. So this is one of those alignments where we have to work on our temper. We have to work on our temper on both occasions. Just because one is louder than the other doesn't make either one right. If you're being loud about it, you definitely need to rectify that. If you're being low-key about it, you absolutely need to rectify that. You can learn to assert yourself, but in a way that's not harmful to other people and where it doesn't build up into resentment. So do the best you can this day when it comes down to your temper. Mercury is going to be making most of the alignments over the next 2 days, and some of the alignments, one of the alignments is uncomfortable. The other one is workable, but it still has a little bit of edge to it. On the 30th, Mercury is going to be making an opposition with Saturn, which also participates in that grand cross that I was talking about, because that grand cross will be lasting for a few days, and also the sun will come back through this area too, which will activate it again. But this could be a day where communication is very harsh. So if you're texting with someone, it could be a day where just the communication in itself just feels flat, it feels dry, it feels like one-word text messages. This could definitely be an argumentative sort of tone. People tend to be pretty cutting and brutal in this energy with the words that they use. This could be a day where you're wanting time to yourself to be in your head, because also with this energy, there comes a little bit of low self-esteem. It really does bring up a lack of confidence in us. This could also be a moment of a reality check, a sobering moment that pops up, which is never comfortable energy whatsoever. Also, I would recommend not signing any kind of contracts, especially over the next couple of days with the other Mercury alignment that's going to be happening. This alignment in itself is not great for signing contracts. It's not good for getting a good deal. It's actually one of those things where somebody may have more authority and power over you when you're signing a certain contract. So you just want to be careful with that. So do the best you can when this energy hits, because by the time we hit the 31st, we have two alignments that are uncomfortable, but we do have the Jupiter alignment that is hopefully the saving grace for this weekend. Venus is making a square with Chiron, and so with this energy, It could bring up relationship stuff. It could bring up a lot of fears surrounding commitment, fears surrounding your image, self-esteem, being overly critical on yourself for, not being in some of the best relationships, which is an unfortunate thing because, I know that's easier said than done, but you really shouldn't blame yourself because of someone else's atrocious behavior. It's a hard thing. It takes time to get out of that headspace. Just remember, someone being an asshole is a reflection on them and not you. It has everything to do with them and nothing to do with you. Again, easier said than done. It takes a lot of time to get past this type of stuff. So really, if you're feeling some of these feelings, work through this the best way you can. Find the most healthiest coping mechanisms. Take a few self-esteem courses, self-help books. They even have stuff on YouTube. There's more affordable therapies popping up. If you're not wanting that, some people prefer a life coach and things like that. But this is all about healing where you feel inadequate because of past relationships, or just in general, relationship wise, feeling as though you're not measuring up. So this is definitely an opportunity to work on self-image issues. The opposite of that alignment is Mercury making a sesquiquadrate with Jupiter. This alignment is opposite of that because it tends to inflate our arrogant side. It definitely brings out our self-aggrandizing side. So communication-wise, we could be dealing with people who have gigantic egos, people who need more attention than anyone can possibly give and love the sound of their own voice. So it's something that is going to be annoying. I always say when I see some of these things with Jupiter and overconfidence, sometimes I would rather see that than see people down. So this energy in itself, you can be playful with it. You can kind of laugh at someone being a court gesture and like the shenanigans of it all and everything. But at the same time, yes, when you do have conversations with people like that, it's very draining. Also with this, be aware of not paying attention to the details, like I was saying before, because of that other Mercury alignment with Saturn, Mercury opposing Saturn a couple of days ago or a day ago. Just be careful when you're signing contracts and things like that, because this makes us blurry on the details and not pay attention to them because we feel confident, like we know what we're doing. And this also brings out people who tend to over exaggerate and stretch the truth. So this could be a day where you're hearing a bunch of tall tales, or people just lying because they're hiding something or they think it's funny. So it's a weird energy. Do the best you can when this energy hits, but luckily that day the sun is going to make a trine with Jupiter, which is a happy, grandiose, in the best way energy that we can get right now. And this energy is a confidence booster. It expands our confidence. So for those who are feeling that Venus square Chiron alignment, maybe this might be the pick-me-up you need to start taking action, to start realizing how rad you really are. This energy gives us a sense of luck. It is a very lucky energy. It's good for attracting opportunities. It's great for finances. It's great for open-mindedness. And it's great for just enjoying yourself. It's great for having a Sunday fun day and letting your hair down. Even with some of the solitude energy, which is very understandable considering some of the stuff that's happening to Mercury, especially Mercury opposing Saturn. Mercury sesquiquadrate Jupiter still gets social. But even with that, this could get you out of your shell. This could make you open up and just say, you know what, I need to go out and have a good time and blow off some steam and enjoy myself and do something nice for myself so I can boost myself up. So this is going to be great for that. Just getting out, being energetic, feeling the motivation to work out, go on a nice trip or a bike ride. It just has that sort of energy to it. And again, it is really good for puffing us up and also gaining a ton of knowledge that can expand us and be helpful down the line for some sort of certification or educational track, or knowledge that you just need to have in case you want to use it for something later. So this is a fun energy. We definitely need this energy after some of the alignments this week. Do the best you can when these energies hit and try to make sure you're having a week where you're checking in with yourself, doing as much de-stressing as possible, doing as much self-care as possible, releasing any tension because there's a tense energy in the air. July has just been that month. And so anyway, I hope you all have the best week ever. Later, guys.